Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Vanessa, also known as Read with Dr. B. In today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about my summerween TBR, which happens to start today. So happy summerween. I'm also going to be sharing a couple of books that I have on my NetGalley shelves that some of them I've read and some of them I'm interested in reading. So they're kind of like possible recs and or books that potentially could be on my pile of possibilities this week. So if you don't know what Summerween is, it is a week-long readathon that's hosted by Gabby Reads, and essentially it is to bring, the Halloween spirit into the summertime. Gabby also does a really cool one during the winter called Winterween, but if you are interested in checking out any cool merch or anything like that, I will leave all the stuff in the description below. Please, consider subscribing to Gabby because she's just a phenomenal person. So I'm going to start out with the 3 physical books that I know for sure that I'm going to be reading this week. So I'm going to be starting out Summerween with Middle of the Night. I'm pretty sure this is on a lot of people's TBRs because this just came out. This book is following Ethan and Billy when they're 10 years old, and they are camping out in the yard, and the next morning Ethan happens to wake up alone and his tent is slashed, his best friend Billy is gone, and then 30 years later, Ethan actually returns to this home, his childhood home, and weird stuff starts happening in the middle of the night. So somebody kind of is like roaming around in the cul-de-sac, and then certain things of Billy's kind of keep showing up randomly. So we're gonna kind of figure out what is going on. I'm very excited to be starting off with this book because I have such high hopes for Riley Sager, which I generally am someone who likes Riley Sager's books, so I'm expecting probably like a 4-star or so. Next on my TBR is Midnight is the Darkest Hour. This is by Ashley Winstead, who also happens to write In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. So this one is for fans of Verity and A Flicker in the Dark. It's a twisted tale about murder, obsessive love, and beastly urges that lie dormant within us all. In this story, we are following a librarian named Ruth who kind of has always felt like an outsider. And there are some like religious aspects in this book, apparently. They're basically trying to uncover the truth about this person named the Low Man, who is apparently a vampiric figure said to steal into sinners' bedrooms and kill them on moonless nights. So this will be probably the second book that I read for Summerween. And the last physical book that I plan on reading for Summerween is None of This is True by Lisa Jewell. This one has some mixed media elements to it. So there's a famous podcaster who happens to interview a stranger who's promising to divulge the story of a lifetime. But secrets start to emerge that threaten to expose the truth of the lives they've worked hard to project and protect. I've heard some mixed reviews about this book. Some people really like it, some people don't. I'm just here for a good time regardless. So these are going to be the 3 books that I'm going to focus on during Summerween, my more physical TBR, if you will. Now I also want to talk a little bit about some NetGalley books. So the first one I'm actually going to recommend is one I just finished, like this morning. It's called The Night Guest by Hildur Nutsdóttir. I'm not sure how to say the name. It is an author who's from Iceland. This is a translated work. I think it was actually published a few years ago, but it was translated recently, and it is going to be published, I believe, in September of this year. So this story is following Indun. I'm not sure if that's how you say her name. And she goes to bed every night and happens to wake up the following day feeling super fatigued, like she's just done a whole workout. That's how she feels, but she's not actually doing a full workout. So she ends up going to, her primary care physician to kind of see what's going on. And they said, oh, are you drinking enough water? Are you exercising enough? Like kind of those things that your doctor is going to tell you anyways, like when you go, you're not getting enough sleep, you're stressed out for a lot of your common issues with why you're having trouble sleeping or medical issues and whatnot. So anyways, she gets a smartwatch and she realizes that she's walked like 40,000 steps overnight. Then she starts tracking where she's going, figuring out, she keeps going to this one location over and over, and then certain things start happening, certain people go missing. There is some trigger warnings, I will say, of animal death. It is off page, so it's not like you're getting a lot of details about it, but it is something that happens in the book. But this one was kind of creepy and disturbing and felt like how I want a horror book to be. The only issue with this one, I feel like, was that the ending was a little like, wait, what just happened? So I think there was like a little bit of a deeper meaning to it. I wish it was a little less left up to interpretation of what happened at the end, but I would say this was a pretty good horror book, so I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book I'm going to talk about is called Hot Singles in Your Area by Jordan Shively. This one actually doesn't come out until February 2025. It follows 2 strangers who happen to work at this like media powerhouse. Noah really needs a job that involves less blood and urine than his current one. So he spots an ad in the newspaper with no experience preferred. He goes down and applies for the job and unknowingly signs his life away. Malachi is the only human left in the City of Silence. She spends her time wandering the empty streets until one day she actually finds someone who's like hunched over a typewriter. And his fingers happen to be enmeshed with the keys. Now, that is kind of horrifying on its own. So she's trying to figure out like her long lost love. Basically, the end of the synopsis says that propelled by their pursuits for rent, money, and truth, Noah and Malachi are pushed to their limits in this tightly plotted satire of occupational hazards and conglomerate powers. So I don't know what I'm really getting myself into here. I'm not seeing great ratings, unfortunately, on Goodreads, but I'm willing to give it a shot because it is so short. Next book is called Beyond the Bounds of Infinity. This is an anthology of diverse horror. So it looks like this is going to be a bunch of horror short stories. It's only 190 pages, so I might like try out a couple of the stories, maybe buy some of the authors that I really enjoy, like S.A. Cosby, but other than that, Goodreads actually doesn't have anything about it on here, so I don't know what to tell you about it, but hopefully it's a fun time. I'm also going to be vlogging, so maybe you'll get to see my reactions to some of these books, and that might make you feel more enticed to maybe want to pick it up. The Chamber by Will Dean comes out on August 6th, 2024, so not too much further to go, but I really enjoyed the last one by Will Dean. Like, that's probably one of my favorite mystery thriller books so far, so I thought, oh, why not? Let me just give Will Dean another shot. So this one says, And Then There Were None meets The Last Breath. It's a suspenseful locked room thriller that takes place inside of a hyperbaric chamber. There are 6 experienced saturation divers who are locked in this chamber. They are working in shifts essentially to kind of like regulate their breathing and whatnot. They're breathing helium. They're trying to work in shifts. They're trying to work quickly because they know that if they kind of make one wrong move, those things could be pretty fatal for them all. Then one person ends up dead in his bunk. With 4 days of decompression left to go, before the locked hatch to the chamber can be opened, the group has to watch each other's backs at all time. But because one of them is found unresponsive, they are kind of like on edge and panicking. The story is gonna try to follow like who is taking them out or what. But this is like horror that I'm really looking forward to, especially after like last year when that whole Ocean Gate thing happened. I was like, please give me some underwater horror that is like really good and like that I can like have a visceral reaction to. Middle Tide by Sarah Crouch actually already came out. It was a book of the month pick, but it looks like this one follows the suspicious death of a beautiful young doctor in a small town. The sheriff's initial investigation initially points to suicide, but then upon further investigation, it looks like there's some foul play. There's an author named Elijah Leith who apparently wrote literally what happened, and so that's why the sheriff is like, seems kind of sus. So essentially we're following Elijah as he's trying to claim his innocence after coming back to his hometown, you know, kind of licking his wounds from a very maybe unsuccessful writing career, a breakup, and now he's just thrown into this, hey, we think that you're the person who killed this doctor. Throwing a YA mystery thriller in here. So we have Death at Morning House by Maureen Johnson. This is the author of the Truly Devious series. So I think the synopsis is funny because it literally says, dates should be hot, but not hot enough to warrant literal firefighters. Akila, the girl Marlowe has been in love with for years, will never go out with her again. No one dates an accidental arsonist. It sounds like there's some sort of death going on at this particular house. There's some sort of fire, it's hot, but it is YA, so don't get you know, too crazy, too spicy, or anything like that. The last book that I have on my pile of possibilities is The Last Party by A.R. Torre. This comes out August 20th. It is about a loving mother, a notorious murderer. They both have reasons to hide their secrets in a novel of escalating shock and suspense. So it says Perla, her husband, and their daughter Sophie live in a gated community, so they're kind of more affluent. Now, Perla has some sort of dark and consuming secret obsession. This apparently somehow links back to something that happened 23 years ago where Leewood Fulcrum admitted to murdering 2 young children at a birthday party, and he is serving a life sentence. But nobody's forgotten about his crime. So it says not by Perla, not by an inquisitive doctoral student interviewing Fulcrum for his dissertation. He's getting the killer to open up about his motives, his confession, and the truth of what really happened on that horrible night. The past and the present happen to intertwine. So we start to see some deceptions behind the infamous murder begin to surface, but who's deceiving who now and why, and who's going to be the next to die. So it sounds like I have a pretty good summerween lineup ahead for myself, and I'm really looking forward to vlogging my experience and seeing what books I actually get up to this week. If you're interested in more content like this, especially with this whole week of Summerween, please don't forget to like, comment, and consider subscribing to my channel. And if you've gotten this far and you really have nothing else to say, leave me a little ghost emoji, because obviously the little ghost with Summerween, so cute. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. Bye!